right, hello, good people, and welcome to another Lola Gets video. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about my first 6 months on Zepbound. So you all know, and I don't know if I mentioned this the last time, but I've actually been on Zepbound for almost 14 months now. So I'm a little bit past my first 12 months. And as I stated in the last video, I talked about GLP-1s with my doctor and just getting, my initial thoughts about it before starting the drug, kind of talking those things through. But now what I'm going to do is kind of talk through like my early journey. And for some people it may still be early because it's only been, almost 14 months, but I've learned a lot, right? So disregarding what I'm going to talk about today, just kind of like how I felt and what I've learned and just some other insights and things. But before we dive into all of that, I wanted to thank you all who have joined me for another video and who have subscribed to this channel. If you're new here, welcome, dear hearts. And if you enjoy what you see, please remember to follow, like, and subscribe. This channel was created for us to be able to share encouraging stories and experience about life. So I'm glad you stopped by to tune in with me today. And also, as always, I'm forever humbled and grateful. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm going to kind of walk through my initial 6 months, right? Like just kind of overview of what I felt, some of the things that I learned along the way, and just kind of how I got started. So kind of where we left off, basically what happened after I received prior authorization through my insurance. And just to recap, kind of what I found out was first my prior authorization for Zepbound got denied. And then like a couple of days later, it got approved. So it was a very short turnaround between the denial and the approval. So it was just probably something my primary care provider had to just submit additional information in order for me to get the approval. So once I got the approval, I started to look up just how my insurance worked, like how I get the medications and prescriptions and all of that. And this was my first time actually having like regular medications that I had to take, right? So like figuring out if I go to like a Walgreens or a CVS or home delivery. I didn't know anything about all of that, so I had to kind of look it up, and I kind of learned along the way. So I literally, and then just again, for some background, let me just kind of break down my weight before starting. And I know I talked a little bit about this at the last video, but my highest weight that I've ever been in life was in December of 23, which I mentioned in the last video. And it was 292. And then in January of 24, my husband and I again started our month of consecration fast. So we did Daniel fast, we did solemn assembly, and I did lose a couple of pounds just from fasting. So by the time and we were still fasting, but by the time I got the prior authorization and approval, it was like around January 7th, January 8th, something like that. So which was a Monday. And then I weighed let me back up. So I got the prior authorization January 8th. And then the next day, it's kind of like I decided to take the injection on the 9th just because I was able to pick up my prescription the day that my doctor sent in the script too. And I just did it through Walgreens. So before my first injection though, I weighed 287. So I was down a couple pounds from the 292. And that was just, changing a couple things just with the way that I was eating because of our fast. So my first injection, like I said, was on January the 9th, which was that Tuesday. And, some people was like, well, how do you decide what day of the week to take your injection? And there was really no special reason or, a whole lot of thought for me. I literally was like, I got the prior authorization. My doctor sent in the script. And then because of the timing that I got the script on the 8th, I waited the next day because I knew that I wanted to take my shots in the morning. And just for me, that worked out for me just because I usually, and really my only thought was I normally, when I have to take medicines, I like to take them in the morning unless there's another reason why, I have to take them in the afternoon or whatnot. But basically it was just, I knew I wanted to get it over with in the morning. And then that was just my initial thought and that was it. So that's what I did. So I waited till January 9th to take my first injection. And that's when I did do my weigh-in, and I was 287.7 as my starting weight. So really, how did I decide So that was how I decided on the shot day, and then really just preparing for the shot and what I was thinking about. But before I really, I guess to help me prepare for the shot, I actually was looking on YouTube for other content creators that talked about their GLP-1 journeys. So I did actually stumble across, and some of you may know, I looked up the Countess of Shopping and started watching a lot of her videos. I still watch them to this day because it definitely is, she's been on it for a long time and just has helped with some advice, and obviously some things I obviously take with my primary care provider, because it has to be specific to me and what I need, and it is a personal journey, right? So you have to always make sure that you're talking to your doctor, you're doing your own research, your own homework, which is why I won't get into a lot of that here, because I do feel like it's important that everybody, before you start a weight loss journey, that you're talking with your specific healthcare provider and you're considering the specific needs that you have, right? So, and that's what I did. So I looked up just to kind of see another person's experience with it, to kind of give, as a guidance, or as just to think about some things like while you're going along the journey. And that's kind of what I did. So I did. So I looked up some of her videos, and I know there's a lot of people on GLP-1s and they have their journeys on YouTube and all of that. So there's lots of other people that you can look at and just, or gravitate to. I gravitated towards her videos. So, and then again, like I said, there was really no special way for me to determine my shot day, other than the fact of when I got my prescription, and the timing of all of that. So my shot day starts, I started on Tuesday in the morning. So between like 7 a.m. to really like 8:30, it's kind of shifted over time. Like I said, I've been on this for 14 months now, but usually I do my shot before 9 o'clock in the morning. So anywhere between 7, 8:30, 8:45, something like that, I'm taking my shot or my injection. So how did I prepare for my first shot? And like I said, I was watching a lot of videos and obviously looking at Eli Lilly's website. And I will show you, so I started out, and I did mention that before, I did start out on the lowest dose, which is considered and I have my notes here, y'all, so I can remember, is a transitional dose. So getting you used to the medication, getting your body used to taking these types of injections. You start out with Zepbound on the 2.5 milligram, which is where my doctor started me. So I started on the 2.5 milligram, and it comes in a box like this. I just brought the box down here so you can see. Obviously, the 2.5 will say 2.5 milligrams on here. And I've been on the 5 milligram for a long time, so I don't have any more 2.5 boxes. So, but it comes like this. There is 4 pins that come in the box. And then you get information from Eli Lilly on like a reference guide that's in the box. I just kind of tore this off from actually I do have. This is from my 2.5. So, and I did tear this off because I like to keep this where I do my injections. So I do my injections in the morning in my bathroom, and I keep this handy just so I can always remember. And like I said, I've been on for 14 months, but I still look at this every time as a guide. So you'll see like the different places that you can do your shot. And again, Eli Lilly's website has a lot of information about, videos on where you can take your shot, their recommendations, and all of that good stuff. So this is how I prepared for my shot. I looked at the information that came in the box. I looked at Eli Lilly's website. I looked up, Eli Lilly has also videos on YouTube, so I looked those up as well. And that helped me determine where I would do my first shot. I believe that I started doing my shot and I'm going to double check because I tracked all this stuff. One of the things, again, that was kind of some guidance is where I tracked, but I believe I started doing in my stomach to start, and I'm just going to double check. I think I did. I did some journal entries when I started as well to kind of talk through like how I was feeling, just about starting the injections, and all of that. So my first shot I did earlier, so a little bit before 7, I did at 6:50 a.m. and then injected into my stomach to start. This was my first injection on the 2.5 milligram. And I would say I definitely was feeling anxious and nervous just about, again, this is something I never had to inject myself with anything before on a regular basis. So I was a little bit nervous about that. And then, just reading some of the side effects that can occur, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, all of those things I was looking at and prepared. And because we were fasting, I will say this, I think what helped me too with this is because we were already fasting, I already had a lot of healthy foods in the refrigerator. Already had lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, started getting more yogurt, and then just started changing my habits already because we had already started fasting for church. So that definitely helped me with the way that I started changing the way that I ate, because I started incorporating the things that we were eating during our fast into my weight loss journey on Zepbound. So I definitely, after injecting myself in my stomach, it took a couple of hours, I would say, but I basically had some indigestion and sulfur burps as initial reactions to the medicine. Definitely felt like full-blown appetite suppression when I first started. It really knocked me out, and I definitely felt the fatigue. So all those things that you hear your body reacting to, I definitely probably had most of that. Not a whole bunch of, I didn't feel, like throwing up or anything like that. I didn't feel sick. As the days went by, I guess I definitely kind of felt a little bit of nausea, but it wasn't extreme. It wasn't anything. It was really more of indigestion, the burps, and then my appetite being very, very suppressed. And I'm looking back to as just looking through some of the things that I was feeling, because I kind of documented all of that. And then really how I navigated some of the side effects, it just really just depends on what I had. And each week was a little bit different. So this is just literally my first shot. And my first month really was about the same. I definitely felt a lot of appetite suppression. I definitely felt the effects early on. And I think my first month, and I'm going to go to a different app for that, but I lost about almost 10 pounds my first month on Zepbound. And because I was looking at the Countess of Shopping videos too, and her recommendations about switching your injection sites, and that was also, again, what Eli Lilly recommended too. There's three places you can inject yourself. So your stomach, your thighs, and the back of your arm. And rotating, I think, also helped with just kind of the consistency of me losing weight. So I definitely had some ups and downs for the first 6 months, but mostly it was a steady progression of me losing. On average, when I started tracking this, I've lost probably about 1.5 pounds per week. So, which is all still good. Normal weight loss, nothing too crazy, and definitely something that shows now. So I will put some videos in here, and I'm not sure where they'll pop up on the screen. Oh, yes, you'll see some of my before and after photos, kind of what I started with, and then kind of where I was my first 6 months, right? So, and just kind of see how the progression, because I definitely started noticing, and I probably noticed more than anybody else when I really started losing weight. My clothes started to get looser. I definitely started incorporating more physical activity. We have a trail by our house that my husband and I definitely walked on a regular basis. And then within that first 6 months, I started also getting a lot of different equipment that I put in my office for work. So I could take breaks from work and use my resistance bands, or I got some weights, and then a walking pad, and all these things that I still use to this day to help when the weather's bad outside. I can use my walking pad to make sure I get my steps in. I initially tried to get in at least 5,000 steps a day. Sometimes I don't always hit that, just because I had a lot of fatigue earlier on and felt tired. So I didn't always get the 5,000 steps. So I changed it to at least getting 5,000 steps 3 days a week. And now I'm actually have upped that, but we'll talk about that with the next video. But yeah, so I'll show the videos here or pictures here of just kind of like my before and after. And then, like I said, my first month, I lost 9.7 pounds. And then I also, looking at, so February, last year when I turned 39, I was again down quite a bit. I think I lost another 4.5 pounds. So I'm going back just to double check some of this here. so I can tell you what my progression was with the weight loss every month. And then, yeah, so I lost 9.3 pounds the first month. And a lot of that, when you're initially starting a weight loss program, a lot of that, or your journey, it usually is a lot of water, right? You're just losing a lot of water weight too. So I took that in consideration, and the fact that I was already like fasting and stuff. So I was already eating healthy, changing the way that I ate with different things. I still had definitely during my birthday, so February, my second month on the injection, I did eat more sweets then, and because it was my birthday month, Valentine's Day, all those good things, but I still lost almost 6 pounds that month in February. And then in March, I lost exactly 6 pounds in March. Still on the 2.5 milligrams at this point. And I believe when I got to the end of the month of March, I actually titrated up to the 5 milligram. So I was still losing weight, but then I started to feel like a little bit of a stall. And it wasn't, I feel like maybe I could have probably stayed on the 2.5 milligram, but also this was another thing that was the issue for me. I couldn't stay on the 2.5 for a couple of reasons. One was my insurance actually did not allow for me to stay because it is considered a transitional dose. So they literally only allowed me to stay on it for like 2 or 3 months. And I think they gave me an additional month. So I might've stayed on it for 4. And then I had to titrate. I had to titrate up because they weren't going to pay for me to stay on the 2.5. So that was one issue. The other issue that came about around that March, April timeframe was the shortage issue. And I know it's a lot of information, so you all can look that stuff up, but there was a lot of shortages with the drug, with Eli Lilly. And so I had to navigate that as well, of how to get my prescriptions. And at this time, I'm still using a regular pharmacy. So a regular pharmacy, getting my boxes once a month and I just used Walgreens because it was convenient. It's just right up the street from us. So I went to Walgreens, was getting my box every month, had to titrate up for a month to 5 milligram. Then I couldn't get the 5 milligram. So then I titrated back down to 2.5. But the problem is my insurance wouldn't pay. So I had to pay out of pocket all during this time. So it was like March, April timeframe, and I had to pay out of pocket. So that was a hot mess, right? Dealing with the shortages that were happening, and then also navigating my insurance and just really trying to understand just the stipulations between what dose I can stay on. So the 2.5, the 7.5, and the 12.5 are all considered transitional doses, and my insurance only paid for a certain amount of time for you to be on those drugs. So like a month or 2 is when you're allowed, and then you have to titrate up, and then you can stay on the maintenance doses, which is the 5 milligrams, the 10 milligrams, and the 15. So I made myself a little chart here. I don't know if you all can see this. This was when I was learning all of this stuff for myself, and then learning what my insurance did. So I wrote this down so I could remember that I'm only allowed 1 month on these, and that was the 2.5, 7.5, 12.5. I didn't have any limits on refills. Obviously you have limits on the refills, but I could stay on the 5 milligram, 10 milligram, and 15 milligram, and can renew those every 63 days or something like that with a 3-month prescription. So that worked out. And then by the time I was able to, the shortage was still happening, but it was loosening up, I guess, because I was able to start getting my 5 milligram dose. So I did 3 months on 2. I went to the 5 milligram for the 4th month, and then back to the 2.5 for a month. And that's when I had to pay out of pocket. And then went right back to the 5 milligrams sometime end of May, starting in June. So, and then I believe that is also when I found out that it was cheaper for me to do home delivery through Express Scripts. And that was actually recommended. I got a recommendation from my pharmacy. I got a notification in the mail saying, hey, you could be getting, paying less for your Zepbound prescription if you did home delivery and did a 90-day supply. So actually 84-day supply. So I did that, and that really saved, it caused less confusion. I didn't have to worry about, am I going to be able to get my medicine each month? because the first couple of months was a little bit chaotic, just trying to call pharmacies and try to make sure I can get it. And then obviously we're dealing with the shortage. And then when that lightened up a bit, I have not, since June of 24, I have not had an issue doing 3 months at a time with Express Scripts. No delays, no nothing. And I haven't titrated up since the first time of 2.5, and I actually had to titrate up because I couldn't stay on there. So I've been on 5 milligrams this whole time, and again went back from the 2.5 in around June. So like I said, March I lost about 6 pounds. In April I lost 6.5 pounds. May of 24 I lost about 3. This is when I had to go back down. This might have been actually when I was on the 2.5. In May is actually when I had to titrate back down and pay out of pocket for my prescription. And then sometime in June, I started the 5. But I had that month, I had only lost about 3 pounds because it was kind of split between. So then, like I said, it was a lot of learning, a lot of lessons learned for me the first 6 months. And really it was a lot of what I learned was how to navigate my specific insurance, understanding my prior authorization, what stipulations there were for getting my medication and getting it on time, and switching over from getting a monthly prescription or monthly dose or getting my prescriptions each month as opposed to getting it 3 months at a time. So I did start doing home delivery and I started doing the 3 months or the 84-month supply at a time. So that has kind of been where I left things the first 6 months. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful. If there's any additional information you all want to know about that first 6 months on Zepbound, kind of the things I experienced, I can talk about, just some of the, like I said, some of the foods that I was eating was already changing because of my fast, lots of protein, definitely incorporated a lot more yogurt. I'm a person that I used to could not stand eating yogurt. And now it's like my go-to for things. It helps with a lot of things too. It also helps when you feel nauseous. And I always add a little fruit and some granola in there, and it's like heaven sent sometimes. So, and then in the first 6 months too, like I said, on holidays, I still was like my birthday and all of that, I still was eating. My daughter graduated high school in June. So still we were eating out here and there, but not as often. And this was after, obviously, the fast was only for the month of January, and then February kind of got back into a regular regimen, but it wasn't regular because I still started eating better foods. So I will also add one of the apps that I started, or a couple of the apps that I started using that's helped me quite a bit. One is Hit Meal. And this is really where I track my foods. I've also checked like my water intake. If I'm fasting, I can note that in here when I'm fasting. And then just kind of keeping up with how many calories I have in a day. So I keep track with that. The first 6 months, the first 6 months, I did track my food regularly. I don't do that as much anymore because I kind of eat the same things, but I definitely made sure I paid attention to what I was eating, because you definitely have to make sure that you're eating a lot of protein, because any weight loss, you can lose muscle and all of those things, and you want to make sure that you're getting the appropriate nutrients. So green leafy vegetables, and again, make sure that you're consulting with your doctor, because my doctor helped me navigate different meal plans and things like that. And then also this app has helped me think about different meal plans as well. The other app, I think I started in March, and this was another recommendation that I found, was Renfo. And I track my weight in here. I track because I have these things that are hooked up to my phone, and it's a body fat scale through Renfo, a tape measure, and also a blood pressure cuff. So I track all of those things in one app. So I use this quite a bit, and I've used it quite a bit since March of 24. And then the last app I'll share is actually, I started this one, I think in March as well, or April. And this is called Shotzi. So this app, I basically track like all of my information about my shots, my weight change. It gives me the weekly average of how much I'm losing in a week. So that's why I said I've been losing about 1.5 pounds for the past 14 months. So, and it rings true. So this just shows kind of where I am today, if you all can see that, but I know we're just talking and focusing on the first 6 months. But this is just some of what it looks like. This one I use a lot, and it's also helpful because then I can also track how I'm feeling, like what my side effects are, how they've been. And again, a lot of my side effects the first 6 months were really just like I said, some constipation, but not a whole lot. I did have some days where I felt sick, but it was really because I was still eating. I ate a couple of things that didn't agree with me and got sick, and I did throw up twice probably in the first 6 months, but it was because I probably shouldn't have been eating certain things like, high fat foods, fried food. And even though I wasn't eating a lot, it still just didn't agree with me. So I stopped doing all of that and haven't had really any issues with throwing up since the first 6 months. And it wasn't consistent. It was like maybe once or twice in the first 6 months. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much, to sum up, that was pretty much my experience the first 6 months related to how I felt, what my side effects were, how I decided on a shot day, where I decided to inject. Really no rhyme or reason. I just kind of did. I read the instructions from Eli Lilly and kind of made my decisions based on what worked with me and my life and just my schedule for the day. So that was another reason why I like to do it in the morning before my kids got up for school and all of that, and then have my coffee afterwards. So yeah, so if you're interested in some of that stuff or wanted to me to share anything additional about that, if you're on a similar journey, I'm interested to know, like, how was your first 6 months? If you've been on it for a while, if you're just starting, if you have questions, drop that down in those comments and let me know, and I'd be happy to answer anything that anybody may have. But that will do it for us today, and do it for me today. And really what we're going to talk about the next video, which if I've stepped with the schedule, then today is Wednesday. And the next video that I'll put out is going to be on Friday. And then I'm going to talk about, the latter part, the other 6 months. And we'll talk about kind of what that looked like for me and just dealing with my first year on Zepbound and what that was. So lost a lot of weight and still losing. So I'm excited to talk about my first year and kind of my steps forward. So I hope you all don't forget, please, to follow me, subscribe, tell a friend. And I hope you enjoyed this video today. So I was enjoying talking about it and just my journey and my experience. But tell a friend, please stay locked in and then tune in for more, because more is coming. I appreciate you all and have a great week.